Hey, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi. Election Day is coming up tomorrow, and if you're still filling out your ballot, 9 News politics guy Marshall Zelinger put together these helpful guides for the biggest statewide ballot issues.
What caught my eye about Amendment D is this explanation from the State Blue Book about what happens if you vote no. There could be uncertainty, and continuity of court functions could be disrupted. What? Amendment D is about moving judges into the state's soon-to-be newest judicial district. There are currently 22 districts, about to be 23. In 2020, the state legislature passed a bill taking some of the 18th and creating the 23rd. Starting in 2025, the 18th will be just Arapahoe County. For simplicity and fewer numbers, let's call this the North. The 23rd will be Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties, the South. That brings us to Amendment D. A yes vote means you are okay with the governor reassigning judges currently in the North and moving them south, which also requires those judges to live in one of those southern counties. A no vote means, well, it's not clear. It means the governor cannot move those judges, and new judges will have to be selected through the normal vacancy process, which I'll explain momentarily. Here's why it's messy. When the legislature created the South, it also mandated that the North would shrink from 24 judges to 17, and that the South would have 8. A yes vote means that you will allow the governor to move 7 judges from the North to the South. Normally, judge vacancies are filled by a judicial nominating commission. The commission receives applications, nominates judges for openings, and the governor appoints the judge. Then, in future elections, voters decide if that judge can keep their job. The commission does not handle moving a judge from one district to another. A no vote does not prevent the South from being created. That's happening in 2025. A no vote just means we don't know how the North would lose 7 judges since they can't be fired. District judges appear on a ballot every 6 years, so they can be voted out, they can resign, or they serve until they're 72. But there is no method to say, hey, you 7 judges are automatically out in 2025. The homestead exemption is a property tax cut. Seniors older than 65 who have lived in their home for longer than 10 years and disabled veterans can get a discount. A yes vote on Amendment E allows Gold Star spouses to also receive this discount. A no vote makes no changes to the homestead exemption. A Gold Star spouse is the surviving spouse of a service member who either died in the line of duty or died from a duty-related injury or disease. The state estimates that 490 Gold Star spouses would qualify if E passes. The property tax break works like this. 50% is exempted of the first $200,000 value of the home. Put another way, it knocks a maximum of $100,000 off the home's value when determining how much property tax that homeowner owes. Since your property tax depends on where you live and the value of your home, the savings would be different for any homeowner. Based on the average property tax rate last year, the homestead exemption saves a few $100s. Last year, more than 250,000 seniors and 9,000 veterans received the property tax exemption. Combined, they did not have to pay $162 million. The state reimburses that money to counties to distribute to all the agencies that rely on property tax money, like cities, school districts, and fire protection districts. If Amendment E passes, the state estimates it would have to reimburse another $288,000 for up to 490 Gold Star spouse exemptions. Breakfast and lunch are served at school for free for those from families in need. A yes vote on Proposition FF means free school meals in public schools for everyone, paid for by increased taxes on those with $300,000 or more in federal adjusted gross income. A no vote means there is no new program, students in need still qualify, and there is no change to taxes for those making more than $300,000. Public schools offer free and reduced lunches based on household size and family income. About 40% of K-12 students qualify for free meals based on this chart. For a family of 4, the student qualifies for a free meal if the family income is less than $36,000, and a reduced price meal if the family income is less than $51,000. This becomes obsolete if Proposition FF passes because school meals would be free for anyone regardless of need. FF requires school districts to maximize federal reimbursements by applying for certain federal grants. The difference would be paid by the state from increased taxes on those making more than $300,000. Colorado taxpayers making more than $300,000 would be required to add back federal deductions when determining their state taxable income. Single filers could only deduct up to $12,000, joint filers no more than $16,000. FF would also provide school districts grant money to buy locally grown food, increase wages for cafeteria staff, and grants to help train staff to prepare school meals with basic ingredients and minimal processed products. This information table is what you're voting on with Proposition GG. When filled out, it will look close to, but not exactly like this one that's currently in your state blue book explaining Proposition 121. It's a table that explains how a state income tax change would impact you based on your income. A yes vote on Proposition GG means you want a table like that printed directly on your ballot along with the income tax issue you're voting on. Yes also means that this table would appear on petitions where voters sign to get an income tax issue on the ballot in the first place. A no vote means this would not appear on your ballot or signature petitions, but a similar version would continue to appear in your blue book. If GG passes, a table like this would be directly on your ballot next to any state income tax question that gets petitioned onto the ballot, like Proposition 121 this year. If GG were already in law, 121 would also have this table directly on your ballot. It would include 8 different income levels, the amount of income tax you currently owe, the amount you would owe if the ballot issue passed, and how much more or less you would owe in total. If only the entire Colorado ballot could be as short and simple as Proposition 121. A yes vote means you want the state's income tax to drop to 4.4%. It's currently 4.55%. A no vote means the state income tax stays at 4.55%. A couple quick footnotes. 2 years ago, voters statewide passed a measure dropping the state income tax to 4.55%. It was 4.63%. And in years we get Tabor refunds, one of the ways the state can get money back to us is by dropping the state income tax to 4.5%. That has happened the last 2 years and is projected to do so the next 3 years. But that could change. So what does a reduced state income tax mean for you and for what the state pays for with that money? Let's start with what you would get. This is a table included in the state blue book that shows the tax break you would see based on your income level. Everyone pays less, but the more you earn, the more you're keeping. These tax brackets, up to $69,000, represent 3 out of 4 Colorado taxpayers. So 75% of Coloradans would get a tax break of $63 or fewer dollars. Where do state income tax dollars go? The state's general fund, which is controlled by state lawmakers. State income tax made up 68% of the general fund last year. The biggest recipients of general fund money are healthcare, K-12 and higher education, human services, corrections, and courts. Fewer dollars from state income tax could mean fewer dollars for those areas. However, in Tabor years, like last year, when the state collected more than it's allowed, the budget for these areas are not impacted. Proposition 123 is about funding affordable housing. A yes vote would take a portion of the state's income tax and use that money for new affordable housing programs. A no vote makes no changes to how state lawmakers have to spend money. Proposition 123 creates a new fund for affordable housing programs using 0.1% of the state's taxable income. That's estimated to be about $290 million a year. That money would be spent in several buckets. Money for local governments and nonprofits to buy land for affordable housing. Money for new low and middle income rental units, including some where renters can share in the equity of the unit. Down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers, assistance for those experiencing homelessness, rent help and eviction assistance, and grants to local governments for their planning departments' work on housing projects. For a local government to qualify for any of this money, that city or county needs to commit to increasing affordable housing by 3% each year and have a fast-track approval process for affordable housing projects. If those local governments fail to meet those requirements, they would be temporarily ineligible from applying for any of the money. Here's how it impacts state spending and our potential Tabor refunds. Proposition 123 would not count against Tabor, so this would basically allow the state to keep $290 million more than it would otherwise be allowed. In Tabor refund years, like next year, the state estimates it would be 43 fewer refunded dollars per taxpayer. The year after, 86 fewer refunded dollars. In years where there is not a Tabor refund and there may not be enough revenue for everything the state has to pay for, state lawmakers could choose to reduce some of the affordable housing funds to provide money elsewhere in the budget, like healthcare, education, human services, corrections, and courts. Let's call this Boozapalooza, headlined by Propositions 124, 125, and 126. All different issues about alcohol. Let's go in order. A yes vote on Proposition 124 would let retail liquor stores have more locations than currently allowed, which is 3, and will increase to 4 in 2027. A no vote would keep retail liquor store locations limited to 3 through 2026 and no more than 4 in 2027. In comparison, grocery stores are allowed to sell beer, wine, and liquor in a maximum of 8 locations right now. State law increases that to 13 in 2027, 20 in 2032, and all grocery stores can sell all alcohol starting in 2037. There is a caveat. For every additional grocery store location selling full alcohol, they have to buy out 2 liquor stores and all within 3 or 4 blocks. Back to Prop 124. A yes vote puts retail liquor stores on this same timeline, allowing them additional locations until it reaches unlimited in 2037. 2 quick stats you should know. There are more than 1,500 retail liquor store licensees, and only 31 have more than 1 location now. That means just 2% take advantage of the ability to have up to 3 locations. As we've told you previously, Prop 124 is funded entirely by the Maryland owners of Total Wine and More, which has the maximum 3 locations in Colorado, but also has 243 total locations in 27 states. As of last week, they've spent about $13 million to convince you to vote yes. Proposition 125 is about grocery stores selling wine. A yes vote means you are okay with grocery stores selling wine alongside beer they already sell. A no vote means you do not want all grocery stores to sell wine, at least just yet. As I showed you, grocery stores are currently allowed up to 8 locations where they can sell beer, wine, and liquor. So you may go to a grocery store now that currently sells wine. Proposition 126 is about the delivery of alcohol. A yes vote means you are okay with alcohol being delivered by third-party companies like DoorDash and Instacart. It also means you want bars and restaurants to offer alcohol by takeout or delivery permanently. A no vote means alcohol can still be delivered, but only by store employees. And a no vote means bars and restaurants will have to stop takeout and delivery alcohol when the state law expires in 2025, unless the state legislature extends that. Bars, restaurants, liquor stores, and grocery stores can currently deliver alcohol, but they have to use their own employees, not a third-party delivery service. That's probably why Instacart has spent $4.3 million to get you to vote yes, DoorDash $3.5 million. And in support of both 125 and 126, there has been more than $1 million each from Whole Foods, Target, and the parent companies of Safeway and King Soopers.